Hello, everyone. My name is Dhruv Patel, and welcome to yet another SendinBlue webinar on landing pages. My name is Dhruv Patel, and I am a UX designer and have over 15 years of expertise in creating websites to making them work for you, to running marketing campaigns and everything web related and marketing related. I've been doing that for over 18 years now, I believe, and I seem to have understood, what works and what does not work. Working with many clients in the past. With me today, we have Aaron. And Aaron, why don't you go ahead and um, describe yourself a little bit, to the presenters?
Sure. I am Erin, and I'm on the product management team here at SendinBlue. And my background before I came to SendinBlue, and for even a while here, has been in marketing and branding. And then I've moved into product while I've been here. And so my experience is pretty deep on the client side of marketing. I've worked at agencies and for a lot of different businesses, really in that SendinBlue sweet spot of those small, medium, and growing businesses. And so I really love getting to help clients and build for what they need. And I've loved being a client of SendinBlue as well.
Great. And so why don't you give us a little bit of a background of what type of landing page we are working on today, Aaron?
Yeah, so today we're going to be building a landing page that's triggered off of what we'll say is a Facebook ad campaign, and for a client that we've created, and it's called Help Pets. And Help Pets is a pet adoption agency and a rescue. And so they're a really fun example to work with, but the cases that we're going to be going through can be applied to many different kinds of businesses. We'll be promoting around a specific event, and our goal will be to capture not just a little bit of contact information, but one key attribute about each person who is registering on our landing page, so that we can parlay that and create an automated workflow that follows up with these people based on what they really care about and where they are in the funnel. And so we'll be looking at people who are either in the top of the funnel, and in this case, it's people who want to learn more about pet adoption. But again, that could be anybody with a general interest in your business. Could be who just clicked on your ad and just wanted to see what it's about. People who are mid-funnel and who don't just need to be informed about what your business does, but they actually know that they're interested in what you guys already do. So in this case, it's people who are nearing conversion and actually want to adopt a pet. They just don't know what or when or how. And then that last lowest hanging fruit for us, in our example, is going to be people who maybe they've already adopted a pet, they really believe in adoption and rescue, and they want to advocate for them. And so these are going to be the people who maybe they're loyalist, or maybe they've bought from somebody like you, but they've never bought from you before. And so those are the people who are low hanging fruit that are ready to buy, promote, share, and advocate. So for our cases, it's going to be people who maybe want to volunteer at our event, or people who want to donate to our cause. So our goal today is we're going to design landing pages that help match up that value proposition that we're offering in our example with people who are wanting to either attend an event like us, like what we're putting on, or who maybe want to help or want to donate. But remember, we picked this case so that we can apply it to any kind of business.
Great. And before we jump on anything, I have this big box on the side that says 70% of your first-time visitors are skeptics. And what I mean by that is just a little bit detail on it. Whenever somebody comes to your website for the first time, if you don't tell them where they are and what they can do on the page, they're usually left confused, and they don't have much of a way to have a better conversation with you about your business and how they can benefit from it. So you always want to make sure that if you're running an ad of any sort, you always want to design it with a skeptic in mind, meaning how would you walk a first-time visitor through your page so it makes more sense to them and they want to do business with you. Being a what do you call a pet business, the company that we are going to showcase today, it sometimes becomes really easy to have a communication with cute pictures of pets and everything, but cute pictures don't necessarily drive conversion. They just make it look cute, and that's where it stops. Make the page look cute, and that's where it stops. So what you want to do is you want to do more than just creating cute pictures on the page. And for this particular scenario, as Erin proposed, you have top of the funnel, mid funnel, and low hanging fruits, meaning people who are just general interest, meaning they're not really dedicated that they want to come to this event or what have you. And I would consider them as your skeptics, right? Then you have mid-level, which are nearing the conversion, meaning they've been thinking about adopting a new pet, and they just haven't had a chance of doing so soon enough, or they're just waiting for the right opportunity. And then the low-hanging fruits are people who just who love pet in general, but they can't really afford to have the pets at the moment, whether it's the living condition that they are in, apartments or where they're living, they don't allow pets or what have you. But they love to promote or volunteer at certain events where they can play around with pets or bring their kids to these events or something. So we have 3 different type of audiences, and for that I have created a unique flow on how we can run our landing page campaign and how we can run some automation around it. So as you can see in this simple diagram, you can drive your traffic from an ad to your ad landing page, right? And then you can run this particular ad and drive traffic to educate your customers. So there is no other call to action on this page ideally, besides to go sign up for the registration or what have you. Once you have targeted these customers, once you have ran the ad, and once you have tracked them down using your Facebook pixel or Google ad, or whichever technology you're using to run your ads, they usually give you a tracking pixel code that you can embed inside your landing page, and that way you know that these people have already visited this landing page. Once that happens, what you want to do is next time you run an ad, you want to run a retargeted ad directly that takes them directly with a different message, obviously, that takes them directly to the registration page rather than having them go through this cycle again. Make them go directly to the page that they have to take the next step in the set of actions they need to do. And once you do that, you can run your segmented email list and run a different sequence back and forth. So if they have not done a certain task, you can reiterate the proposition, you can collect more information, so on and so forth, and run a little bit of automation. And for that, what I would like to do is in fact, and actually, let me just finish what I was showing in this slide. So this is something that you might see me repeat quite often in almost all the presentations or any webinars that I do, is you always want to make sure you drive your visitors towards your offer. I call it kind of, gradual reassurance, meaning little yeses make a bigger yes. Once you provide clarity in your message and credibility and appeal, and you make it exclusive to your business, almost often enough, what they need to do or what they need to pay almost becomes irrelevant to your visitors, right? They need to understand where they are and what they can do, and how credible you are in terms of your product or service, and how appealing it is to them, and then how exclusive it is that this kind of service or product is only available through your business, right? And Apple does this really well. I always use Apple for example. Like, anytime they release a new product, people always tell themselves, yes, I understand exactly how this works, and I believe in this, I want this, I can only get this from Apple, right? Like Apple products can only be purchased from Apple, right? Which is great. And at that point, no matter how expensive you make that iPhone, how expensive you make that MacBook, what have you, people will throw money at it without thinking about it. They'll take loans just to buy that new piece of gadget that Apple produces, right? And so, gradual reassurance definitely helps, and we'll show you inside the landing page also how we propose the gradual reassurance to keep the user engaged in what you have to offer. Next thing is I always recommend and always promote that before you create a landing page for your business, no matter what you're doing, what type of uh, you know campaign you're running, always create a buyer persona first. And I have a link over here, cnbrt.it/buyer persona. Feel free to check this link out, and I'll open this link, by the way. I already have it open, but I'll just show it to you guys again. But it's a simple spreadsheet. You guys are more than welcome to use it, make a copy of it, and I may have repeated myself in the previous webinar also, but I cannot stress how important it is to create a persona that you're going after when creating a right marketing message for your business. So with that said, marketing persona, buyer persona is very important. Create that first, and you might be able to use the right wording. That is exactly the method that we used when we created the following example that we are about to showcase. So this is just a little bit of recap from the last webinar in case you did not get an opportunity to attend the last webinar. And then the next thing is like, what I usually get this question, what is the difference between a website and a landing page? And I give them an example of you are at a Gap store. When you're at the storefront, that is your whole entire website, which has a lot of services and product offerings from the outset. And then when you walk inside the store and you're in the jean aisle and you pick the right pair of jeans that are right in your hand, that is more like a landing page, meaning there is no distraction of navigation bars or what have you. It's single focused on a single product or service that you have to offer. And you use landing pages to run your inbound marketing. So everything that's highlighted in the yellow, that could be your landing page kind of a space. And using SendinBlue, you can use landing pages and run a lot of the automation behind it. And so, obviously the landing pages are broken down into sections. So we covered this in our last webinar. So this is more of a quick recap for those of you who missed it. So the entire landing page is usually built in sections, and then sections have rows and columns. And these rows and columns you can understand more once you go inside the landing page builder, but you can break them into multiple columns, and this is how you can create some very complex layouts. And part of this webinar, I will be going a little bit in depth in not only just creating complex layout, but embedding external items that are not part of the landing page builder just yet, but how you can embed it without knowing much of the code at all. So I want to show you how we can add something like a countdown timer in the right place on the page to make a big difference on your call to action, for example. So with that said, here's a little bit of an agenda of what we will be doing. So first thing that we'll be doing is we'll be creating attributes in SendinBlue. After that, we'll jump inside the landing page side of things. And then from there, we'll go back into the automation world and emails and everything. And then if any of you have any questions, we'll be happy to take those questions and answer them for you as appropriate. So without further ado, Aaron, why don't you start explaining how to set up attributes and creating those inside of SendinBlue. I think you have access to my screen. And if not,
yeah,
there it is.
I've got access, and that's great. Thank you. All right. So when you're inside of SendinBlue and we're on your dashboard, you'll be able to come down here into your settings area and create your attributes. And so what we're trying to do is just simply give you something to work with once you're already in the landing page builder. And so if we come into configure for contact attributes, you'll have the opportunity to customize or create any attributes that you want. And I just, like a quick recap for attributes, if you look at your contact list over here and you think about it like a spreadsheet, your attributes are just simply the headers in each column of your spreadsheet. And so we've got first name, phone number, last name, and then I've already pre-created interest, but we'll create it again just as an example. And so just think about whatever it is that you want to know that's your special attribute or feature that helps you. If you could know one thing about your new prospects that would help you decide how to speak to them and how to categorize them into that buyer persona, think about that one question you want to ask, and then we're just going to pre-fill those answers. And so we're just going to call it persona, and we're going to change it to category. And then once you choose category, each thing that you add in here will become an item in your drop-down menu. And so you could have persona 1, persona 2, and you get the idea. But we just want to make sure that before you go into the landing pages, you've got this category created. And then once you do, you'll be ready to dig in and start building.
Perfect. So I'll take it from here. Thank you for introducing the attributes. And essentially, attributes are the form fields that you should be collecting on your landing page over a period of time. You don't have to collect all information all at once, but it's definitely important that you first create the attributes and then you jump inside the landing page builder. So it's very specific in terms of the list that you're generating and emails that you're automating after. So we have the sample landing page that we have created. And now, mind you, this particular webinar is a little bit more advanced in terms of the functionality of the landing page builder. If you want to know the very, very in-depth of the landing page builder, want to know how the columns and row work and everything, I definitely recommend checking out our first webinar that we did last week. I think it was the same day, right?
Yep, and we've got that live on our YouTube channel. We've got a landing pages playlist, or you can just go into the Help Center under contacts and then landing pages. We've got a help article specifically where we host all of our landing pages webinars.
Awesome, perfect.
Yeah.
So just because this one has a little bit of, few advanced items, I want to make sure that we cover that in the presentation, and then we have plenty of time for Q&A. If we get done early, then that's great, but I wanted to kind of point that out, that if it's above your head, please feel free to check out the first webinar where I do go very in-depth inside of the basics of the landing page builder and how to use it. So with that said, I'll go to the next step in our design process. So in the setup is where you set up everything. But here's our landing page. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll actually show you the live version of how the page looks. And then we can kind of go back to the slides and kind of discuss how this flow is created in the landing page. So here's the landing page. It says, help puppies get, Help Pets, which is the name of the company, puppy adoption day is here. And then it shows, what day it is, what date, time, and everything. Underneath it says, join our biggest pet cuddling event of the year. So making, cheeky jokes within, humor within your messaging, because, and, this all obviously comes from understanding your persona, who you're targeting and everything. You can use this again inside your ads that you run, right? Like, join the biggest pet cuddling event of the year. Something like that really attracts people to want to click on it. When they click on it, they get on the landing page and they read the same message, which builds the reassurance that, okay, I am on the same page and it is the same thing that they're talking about. Underneath it has, like, you can do things that you can adopt your new best friend at our annual adoption day, or simply come volunteer. So again, designing it for skeptics, people who cannot afford, all that stuff is kind of concisely put in the first kind of what I call the first fold of the page. And it says, reserve your spot for a one-on-one time with our puppies. Spots are limited, right? So it has a really nice call to action. It says, reserve your, your visit, pretty much. Underneath it, it has a little countdown timer. And I'll go over this countdown timer. I just want to overview the page. And then underneath it shows like how many pets were adopted in 2016, 2017, and how you can help us contribute, meaning sense of belonging in the community, becoming part of the whole, growing of the adoption of pets and everything. So giving them a sense of belonging, your visitors, always drives a better motivation, a better appeal for them to actually do something, because it's actionable and it's something that's helping the community and they feel like they're belonging in that community. And it says there's more than one way for you to help a homeless pet. So you can adopt, you can volunteer, or you can foster, meaning providing, temporary housing and everything. So, simple pictures, simple messaging, straightforward messaging, it drives them again. And, you're reiterating your messaging again. It says adopt, volunteer, foster, the choice. So the choice is yours. And remember, adoption starts from as low as $105, and pick your commitment. So as you can see, the call to action kind of changes depending on the tone you're setting in the message that you're putting in the particular area of the page. So you're driving your visitors more towards your offer, making them want to take that action on the page. And then underneath it, it's just like, where it's going to be happening. So I kind of wrote down like, the Bark Street, because, puppies bark. So, but you can, this is the place where you can just jump in and just make some changes. And then again, a different call to action. It says RSVP your spot for to Cuddle Madness. And like, when you see like a cute puppy or something, you just want to kind of hold them in your hand or something, especially, if your demographic in your buyer persona is skewed more towards like kids or women. They love to hold puppies and do all the fun things with them and stuff. So you want to use that targeted towards that particular persona that you're going after, and you can really change the tone of how you're communicating with your customers, and that helps you drive higher conversion overall. And once you have them on this page, there are 3 call to action buttons: RSVP or visit, pick your commitment, and reserve your spot. And all of them, when you click on them, it takes you to the adoption registration page. Now, adoption registration, what we are doing is taking the same information that we had in our previous page, but we are realigning it so it makes more sense for this particular page. So we are driving urgency by having a countdown timer. At the very top, it says it's on the 22nd at 11 a.m. Underneath, it says join us in saving lives, and it says limited number of registrations allowed to cuddle with pets due to cuteness overload, right? So something cheeky, but it still drives the message home. And please reserve your spot below. And then underneath it, same message that you read on the previous page is being repeated over here, but in a different flow depending on where it belongs on the page. And next to it, it says 3 ways you can join in on the action. So you don't want to feel the user left out. Make them feel left out, that they can only register if they're going to be adopting a pet, right? You can do it for adopting, volunteering, or fostering, which goes back to the 3 items that we discussed over here of who you're trying to target in general. And so switch it back to the landing page. On the published version. So you can collect, and you have the form, so you can put the name, email, phone number, and then I want to learn more, adopt a pet, and advocate for pets, right? So you can pick, and these were the attributes that were created that Erin just showed us. Again, we're bringing a call to action that if you do choose to adopt, it's as low as $105 that you can adopt a new pet. Underneath it, we are bringing the reassurance of how many pets have been adopted since a certain year. You can put any, make those changes. And underneath it, we have frequently asked questions. So a lot of people, so let's say if a child came across this page and they want to sign up, but they're scared, that their parents won't allow. So the questions that matter the most to that particular audience, you can adjust them over here. So can I give a pet as a gift, or can my kids play with them? So sometimes if they are friendly enough or what have you, do you limit the number of pets for adoption, or are these pets well taken care of? Because you don't want to get any disease from any injured pets or what have you. So you bring all the objections that people have to rest by writing the right frequently asked messages, using the background images in the back, to really bring the message home. And then you have the footer. And once you click on this one is this call to action is actually triggered to go to the top of the page so they can fill out the information. So on this particular page, the call to action is set differently. Now, when I fill out this form, so if I, let's say, I just removed this in the URL. I want to make sure the page is loading just fine. And so if I put my name, so Drew Patel, and then I'll put I have it drew@gmail.com. It's a fake email. Don't try to email me on that one. I'll put a phone number, 555-555. And then I'll put, let's say I want to adopt a pet. And then I'll just say reserve my spot. And so once I click on it, it'll take me to the thank you page. And on here, you know, it's again, what it's doing is it says, hooray, you're registered. Thank you. See you on Saturday on this date. So we are reassuring that we are bringing the date over and over again to their to them. We can also add actually a button over here that I forgot that says add it to your calendar. So you can simply create a button that allows them to add this date and time on their calendar so they don't forget. After that, it says, thank you for helping save lives and help us spread the word. Let us make a difference together. So even on the thank you page, there are ways to upsell, meaning if people are just coming over here to volunteer or just to you know, check out the puppies, if they come on this page, if they've registered, you take them, ask them to spread the word. So this kind of goes back to our low-hanging fruits, people who are advocates and ready to promote, share, you know, so on and so forth. So you're giving them the right opportunity at the right time that, hey, use our, you know, use Facebook, Twitter, or Snapchat, what have you, to start sharing that information. And again, on this area, we don't have that one call to action button because it's a simple thank you page. So now I'll go inside the landing page builder and kind of walk you guys through the overview of how this page was created. I started off by just creating sections. So I started with a blank section. In fact, it was a completely different template that was that I had selected from the marketplace. And then I just decided that with this logo, I need to change the colors of the entire template. So I clicked on it. I clicked on this little edit button to change the colors to match the exact thing for the logo and what have you. One plugin, if you have Chrome, one plugin that I use is this Eyedropper tool. It's called Eyedropper. You can use your Google Chrome apps, kind of a web store kind of thing, and just search for Eyedropper and you'll find this plugin, and you might be able to just see the screenshot. I won't go into detail on how I discovered this and what have you, or how you can find it, but look for Eyedropper, and if you see this in your screenshot of like previews, you know, just install this. It helps you just pick a color from the web page. So if I just want to pick like what color is the you know, the dog in the back or something, it's kind of blurry right now, but if I click on it, it adds another color to my color palette. So as you can see, it added the hex code. So this allows me as a you know, as I'm creating a landing page to bring my brand identity. So after uploading a photo or a logo of the pet help pets you know, business brand, I was able to capture these colors using this Eyedropper tool and use those to my advantage to create a very sound theme that matches with the business branding. And so I created the message in a way that, you know, it says, you know, is here kind of thing. So it lets them know that adoption day is coming near very soon, and thinking how a like a skeptic user would look at the page and what would they want to do with the page and everything, right? So I did that with the countdown timer, which is not natively available inside the landing page builder. So if I go back a few steps, you see that I have this countdown timer over here on the registration page and also on the main landing page for our ad that we are running right over here. So how did I do that, right? So I have a code that I can share with you guys. And as part of the webinar, in fact, if I can, do we have access to chat in here? I might be able to just share this. Don't
Yep.
believe.
It's there at the bottom.
Oh, got it. Okay, perfect. So I'll just share this link, and I'll also share the buyer persona link with you guys who are on the webinar. And what I did was I just created a quick code snippet. Now, it may look a lot, but trust me when I say this, it's very, very, very easy to change what you wanted to change. So remember how we talked about picking the right color and the hex code. So let's say I want to change this background color from this yellow to a green that I had picked on my website. So I can just select that, and I can copy this hex code like so. And then on CSS, where it says line number 3, where it says background, all I need to do is replace it with that code just like that, and you can see the live preview over here. You don't need to change anything else. That's how simple it is. All you're doing is changing the code, okay? You do not need to touch any of the HTML either. It's all set. Maybe you can change the time left to in 2019 to have a message that says something like, you know, join us Saturday. So something basic, you can just change that message over here. So time left in, so you can say join us on, and as soon as you're typing, you can see that it's updating in this preview. So you guys can use this code as is. And then in this JavaScript, it's a lot of stuff, but you don't need to touch any of it. All you need to do is go to line 30 and just change the date and the time, just like that. So nothing fancy. All you do is, if I change this to 22, because I just realized that it was set for the 22nd, it'll update the days, the numbers, and if I change the time from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., because I think that's what the time was set, it'll change the hours. And then all you need to do is bring this code inside of SendinBlue. Now, how do you do that, right? So let me just show you from absolute beginners, right? So I'll just delete this code thing. So we have this empty block. I can click over here, and I can drag this code element right over here. Now, when I click on this code element, it says HTML right over here, right? So all I need to do then is I need to go over here, and I need to copy this HTML code inside my landing page and paste it right over here, okay? And then what I can do is I can go to my launch step right over here. And then over here is where I added my JavaScript and my style. So how do I do that? So if I don't know anything, I'll just remove everything, and I'll remove everything over here also, okay? So in the head section right over here, this is where you want to add all the CSS that we have over here. So I'll just select all, and I'll copy it, okay? So all we did was we replaced the hex code, and now we have it copied in our thing. So I'll do is style, and then I'll do style again. So this is opening and closing style tags. It's a basic HTML kind of a rule that inside of it you can paste the styles. So I'll just paste the styles. I just copied and pasted whatever I just created right over here in the countdown timer. Same thing I'll do with JavaScript. I make sure that I update everything over here so I can visually see exactly how it looks like. Update the dates and everything. I can just copy, and all I need to do again was just line 30. Don't touch anything else. You don't need to. Everything else is kind of figured out for you automatically. So you can just copy that. You come over here, and as we added style over here, when you're adding JavaScript, you just want to add script like so. And so opening and closing script. And if you guys cannot see, I'll kind of zoom in so you guys can see that I am just opening and closing these tags like so. And then in between, I'm just pasting everything that I had. Once I do that, it kind of lets me know that it is updated. I'll zoom back out. And by the way I'm zooming in and out is on my Mac, I'm pressing Command plus or Command minus. On Windows, it is Control plus or Control minus. that will allow you to zoom in and zoom out of your screen. Okay, so you know, sometimes if you cannot see something, just a quick tip for you, for those of you who don't know. Now, once you're done with that, once you've updated this, all you need to do is republish. Okay, and it updates all the changes that we just made, and you will see it as soon as we launch the page and everything. Going back inside the design, so that's how I added the countdown timer. The second thing is creating set of pages, right? So what I did was I went to manage pages and I created the first page. I designed it exactly how I wanted it to look like, right? With all the right colors, right typography. I picked the right fonts that kind of match with the logo. They're kind of bubbly text. So I changed all that in my setup right over here in my font preferences. So I just picked all the right fonts that looked decent enough that matched the logo. Then in the design, when I go to manage pages, once I created this page, I use this duplicate function. So when I click on duplicate, it creates a copy of the same exact page, so that now that I have my header, my footer, the fonts, the colors, everything the way I want, I just created a copy of it, and then I created one more copy of it. And that's how I created my adoption registration page. And then I created my thank you page eventually. So if I click on this edit button, by the way, you can click on the settings and you can change the name for your SEO purposes and everything. And you can see how it's generating the URL also for you for your landing page. So just to quickly show you, right now the URL is something like this. Once I click on it, it'll be /adoption registration, because that is the name that I picked right over here, adoption registration. So that's how it makes the URL for you. So it's easy to remember. You can copy and paste it in your ads or however you're driving the traffic. So you can do that. And once you click on this little edit button, it actually takes you to that page and allows you to create you know, that layout. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, how the heck did I create this look right over here inside the landing page builder? Because simply dragging and dropping items just may not work. So I'll quickly show you what I did. I clicked on, you know, add a new row. So I'm adding a new row, and I wanted it to be 3 columns, right? In first column, I wanted to put the message form, and then in the third one, you have this. So you create the 3-column layout, and then in here is where you can drag out the message. In the second one, you can drag out the form. And in the third one, it's a bit complicated because you have a 2-column kind of a layout. Again, if it's too confusing for you at this point, please, after watching this webinar, please watch the previous webinar, and it will make a lot more sense to you then. So from there, I went to manage layout, and in my manage layout, I can go to the exact block that I'm working on, which is the celebrity block that I named it. So I'll click on that, and then I'll go to the right row. Okay. So in this, oh, by the way, let me just add some sample text in here, because we need to add some more columns and rows within this scenario. So I'll go to row number 3. And then once I'm inside of row number 3, which I clicked on it to access it, this is my column 1, this is my column 2. And by the way, in this column number 2, I went ahead and I went to the settings, and I changed the background color of it to white. And that's how you see the white in the back. Then I went to the style, and I made the border radius of it so it has that curvy edge around it on the sides, right? So that's how we created this. And now going back into the third column that we created, if I click on it, it just shows that there is this text element in here. And in here, I can add rows. So I can add 2 rows like so. So now I have 2 rows. And in these 2 rows is where I dragged out an icon element, and that's where I found the pause. And then next to it, I put the text element. And that's how I essentially created that whole piece right over here. And I'll just hold the shift key, which is again another shortcut key to access rows and columns a lot quicker. So I'll go ahead and just delete this, because I just wanted to show you guys how I ended up creating this unique look. So I had a text, and then I had a row with 2 columns. Then I added a divider, and then I added another row with, I literally duplicated it over and over again, because let me just refresh the page in case anytime anything shows blank, like when I just clicked on manage layout and didn't really show anything, just refresh the page and it will come back to its senses essentially. But in here, what I did was, I'm in row 2 and then the 3rd column. I have all these rows that I ended up creating, right? And so anytime I want to duplicate something, so let's say I want to bring one more feature, I can just, this row, I can just duplicate it just like that. And now I have another thing. And then let's say I want to duplicate this little divider that we have. So I can just duplicate that. And so now we have 2 dividers. I'll kind of close it and open it again. And what I'll do is I'll take this divider and I'll use the arrow down to add, just like that. So that's how I created this layout. Now, usually you don't go at this distance unless you have a design file that you're trying to follow or something. But in case you are a designer of sort, you know Photoshop and everything, feel free to, you should be able to create the looks and feels from a Photoshop file in here without much effort. But in case if you need help, feel free to use the help, and you might be able to find some great documentation. Please also check out the webinar from the previous last week, and it'll give you a lot more information on it also. So that's a quick, synapse on how I ended up creating this layout that looks nice and presents itself really well. I repeated a lot of things like bringing the code snippet and everything in here. So that's what allowed me to create this layout. And then obviously the last page we have in our funnel is this thank you page. So you can just go to the edit and, obviously make those changes. But I do want to go back over to the registration page and kind of cover the form side of things, because then Erin, I may want to have you jump in and give us some explanation on the form and the email automation side of things. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so once you add the form, you just name your form, and then you bring all your fields in by clicking add contact fields. Because Erin added that persona, that's a new field that's available. You can reorder them however you want, up and down, and once you click on them, you can kind of change the terminology in here also. So that concludes, and also, by the way, once the form is submitted, I can do the redirection, so I can pick a page in the funnel, and I can pick the thank you pages where I want the visitors to go to. And then once I'm done, I can just go to launch and I can just publish it live. So with that, Erin, I'll let you have the control. I think there's somebody who's unmuted, so if you don't mind muting yourself, or Erin, you may have to mute them.
Got it.
Yeah, and then go ahead and take over the screen and walk them through the dashboard.
Great. Well, thanks, Dhruv. So we're going to slide over into the automation area. And automation and the email templates are going to go hand in hand. The great thing about building an automation is that you will have a link inside automation to build your emails as you go, or you can just drop a placeholder in there and then come back and design the emails after. But really what we're doing with the automation is we're starting with the big picture. And I'm going to show you a preview of the workflow that we're going to build. And it's really simple. So we've just given it a name. We've made sure that it's turned on. This means that as people start to come into our list from that landing page, this will just start flowing. And so what we want to do is we want to capture people at the beginning when they come onto the list. And as you'll see inside of our landing pages builder, when you're selecting, we'll go back. Just want everyone to help see the connection. But as you're building your landing page and you choose your form, you'll actually have a list once you create it. You will have a list that's automatically created for you that matches the name of the form here, and then it'll be created for you inside of SendinBlue. And so we have our form name, Pet Adoption Day, and then while we're building, and this is a little bit of different from my example, but we would look for the same list name and we would build off of that. And so we'd say, okay, once someone gets added into that list from my landing page, I want to make a decision. I want to decide, are they somebody who has decided that they want to learn more? And so in that form, if they chose the drop down for learn more, then I want to take the action and send them this email. And then I've waited a week and sent them a follow-up. Or if they didn't choose learn more, let's look and see what else they can choose. If they chose adoption, do the same thing. I want to send them a follow-up email, wait a week, and then send them up another one. Or if they didn't choose that and they chose the option that they want to be an advocate, then I'm going to send them the advocate email. And you got it, same idea. I'm going to wait a week and send them a follow-up reminder. So inside of SendinBlue's automation, you can always build from scratch. And that is a fun way to build if you're expert, or if you just really want to get creative. You can create a new workflow, start custom, and just let this guide walk you through. You give it a name, and it'll let you choose exactly what you want to do. But if you're just getting started, my favorite thing to do is actually just to start from one of our standard workflows. And so I'm going to choose a welcome message. You'll see here it lets you send someone a welcome message as soon as they're added to a list. So here's just a guide that the template's going to walk us through. We're going to choose our list, decide how long we want to wait, and then we want to send them an email. And then once we follow the template, we're going to customize it a little bit. So we're going to go with Pet Adoption Day. And I'm going to wait, we'll call it a gracious 5 seconds when somebody's added, and then we'll send them that follow-up email. When you're choosing a delay time, when someone fills out a form, they typically expect a follow-up message. I know I do. You just want that confirmation, especially if it's something that's high value that they're looking forward to and expecting. We want to make sure that we don't set a long delay time. It's okay. You won't seem overeager. We want to reach out to them right away. One of my favorite things is if you're really interested in knowing every time someone submits that form, an easy way to do that is to send yourself a hidden copy of this email. And you can just plop your email in there or put a few if you've got a team. Or if you're fancy, then you can, let's say you're working in a business where you're assigning account managers to different clients and all those clients are stored in your contact list. You can add an attribute or a column that lists who their account manager is. And so that way you can say every time someone fills out this form and says that they're interested in one of your events, you could send a blind copy email to their account manager. So that way they know that one of their clients is participating in something that you're promoting. Another thing that you can do is choose when to send the email. This is a great feature if you are trying to get people, if you do want to wait, or if you do want to send your first email right away and then any follow-up emails at a very specific time. You could decide that I want people to get that first email right away, immediate confirmation, and then I feel like people are most engaged in the evenings when they get home from work. Then you can choose which days of the week and which times or time frame that you want to send that email. Same thing if you're targeting professionals, you want to make sure you get them during the workday. You've got the power to do what you like. And like I said, you'll have the ability to click in here and create a new template if you'd like to, but you don't have to do that yet. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I give people the learn more email for that first time and say that I'm finished. And so there you go. Now we can decide how we want to customize. If you'd like to do what I did, where we decide depending on which one of these options they chose in the form to send them a different email, all we have to do is just add in a little bit of logic. And so at any point you can come in and hit one of these plus signs and add something in here. And so I want to add an if else, which is just basically a decision tree. So I want to say if this contact detail, choose attribute condition, and we're going to choose the one that we used in our landing page, which is interest. So if the interest is learn more, then I want to send that email. So you just go right down the tree. And if their interest is not in learn more, then I want to check and see what they are interested in. So we've only got 2 more options. So they want to adopt, we'll say okay. And if they do want to adopt, we'll send them the right email. And we'll get into the email template in just a second. But what was fun is that we actually just took very similar email, kind of like Drew did with the landing pages, and we just customized each one to match the tone and the style of the person that's and where they're meeting them where they're at inside of our shopping funnel. So last but not least, we're going to check and say if somebody is an advocate, then we want to send them that very special advocate email. Awesome. So now we've got our decision tree. So we say once someone submits that landing form, then they're going to decide, okay, if they're interested in that first option, then we're going to wait a moment and send them their email. If they're interested in the second option, we're going to send them the adoption email. And then the last one, we'll send them their pet's email. Now, the fun part is you can add to this as much as you like. And so what I chose to do was wait a week in my example workflow. You can say add a delay. And then I want to wait 1 week. And then I want to send them a reminder just to make sure that they don't forget. But you can customize this however you like. So with automation, you can choose to send an email, you could send a text. You could also give yourself a notification. You could move somebody into a different list. And then you're seeing a little preview here. Drew had mentioned something about doing retargeting. We actually will be coming out with a new tool to allow you to do retargeting ads inside of SendinBlue. And so you could actually do what he mentioned, or drop somebody into a retargeting audience and then serve them an ad and keep them going through the magic and drive them back to that landing page. You get the idea. And then you also have a couple more advanced options as well. One of my favorite updates is to update a contact attribute. And so really all that means is you could say when somebody does a thing inside of your automation workflow, watch for it. And then when they do, update that contact attribute. And so what we could do is look at our email and say, once somebody engages with my email, they open it, they click it, then I actually want to update their attribute to somebody who is a higher level of engagement. And so a lot of people use this for lead scoring. It's a really powerful tool, so I don't want to miss that one. You can also at any point push people into a separate workflow. And this is also a really great tool. So if you're customizing a lot of experiences for people, you can use this to weave and tell a very interesting story. And you can do it with a lot of people in a way that feels very personal and saves you as a marketer a lot of time. So with that, we're going to step out of automation, and I'm going to move over into the email templates area. We're going to walk through a couple of the examples and how we customize them. So what I did is I created a first one super email, and then I used that and customized it. And so we'll just do a quick preview to show you that super email.
Similar to how I created one super, like the main landing page, right?
Yeah, right. And so we've just got one email that's got a lot of different components in it, and then we borrowed some components as we went. Yep. So I'll walk through, if you're probably familiar with our builder, so I won't spend a lot of time there, but I want to walk through what each email is designed to do and really the strategy behind it, because that's what is really great to learn. And so we've got those 3 emails for the advocates, the people who want to learn, and the adopters. And so we'll start with the people who want to learn more. And so we want to make sure that as soon as they open that email, they see who we are. Again, that it's the first thing that they see is our logo that they saw in the ad, they saw on the landing page, it's familiar. We want to tell them a little bit about who we are. And then we want to reinforce the main event, the main thing that they signed up for and were interested in, this puppy adoption day. We're going to give them the info they need right at their fingertips. Most people save their emails like their to-do list. And so help your people do that thing. And then we don't want to overwhelm people with options, but we do want to start to draw them in. And so if they just want to learn more, in this case, show them the most appealing thing you have. For us, it's puppies. And so if you've signed up to be interested in an event and you know that's the one thing that you want to know is what's the preview of who are the dogs that I might get to adopt, that's the one call to action we want to draw them into. And as a reminder, when I mentioned about building an automation off of the way someone engages with an email, inside that automation builder, one of the actions you can choose is if someone does a marketing activity, you can click on marketing activity, and then you can say if they clicked, and then you can get specific and even choose which specific button they clicked on. So you can say, if somebody clicks on this Meet the Puppies button, then send me a notification. And so you might want to notify one of your adoption specialists or one of your salespeople that you've got somebody who's really interested in these puppies. And maybe they want to actually come in a little earlier. That's okay. It's all about how you want to manage your business's marketing funnel and your sales process. Now let's look at the middle one. For people who know that they're interested in adoption, we just added a little something special for them. And so we added the puppies. And then if they know they're ready to adopt, we actually put a link in here to our adoption form. And so anytime you go through something like this, you know you have to fill out some paperwork. What's a better way when someone's really excited and motivated? Get them to do that hard task early. So that way when they come to your event, they're ready just to have fun and just do the parts that are enjoyable. And so this helps them do this while they're motivated. Once they've looked at the puppies, get that paperwork done. And then the last one, this one's interesting. So we wanted to right away remind people that these are the two ways that they can help. So these are our advocates. These are our most engaged people. And so what we want to do is make sure that they know how appreciated they are. And so that there's a special name that we've given to this club. And we know that at the top of every email, as far as they see, they're getting acknowledged if they're one of those people. And so that automatically creates a drive for someone. And then we're just telling them very quickly what they can do. They can donate and they can learn more about the organization. And then we just say, hey, do you want to volunteer or do you want to meet the puppies? And so those are our big call to actions. And so as you can see, it's really easy. We just borrowed elements from each of these emails into one. And so if you were building a new email from scratch, I'm just going to go ahead and copy in here. We're going to give it a name. And we can skip over these pieces for now and just go straight into those. So you can always start from scratch, but what I mentioned was we've already built a template for use in automation somewhere else. You can pull that from your My Templates area. And so you can see we've actually got copies of all of the things that we've already used. Another thing that's great is if you've recently designed or sent an email campaign, you might notice that those are different areas. But we can actually just copy over an email campaign as well. And so no matter where you've spent the time and effort to build your email design, you can borrow from it here. And so I actually created that super message that I mentioned as a campaign. So I'm going to use it here. And so now it's loading everything in perfectly for me. And soon, all I have to do is just drag and drop and customize a few things. So for that first email, I drag in a text block, I clicked in here and customized that. And then I knew that I wanted people to meet the puppies, but I didn't want to overwhelm people with the option of adopting or volunteering. So I just removed that bad boy. You can just see, you can just take out each element. And then you're done. I've got the first email. And as you can see, it's pretty easy and friendly to go through and do this with each of the templates that you want to create. One fun element that I'll show you, two things that are custom. This I borrowed from one of our existing design templates that we promote inside SendinBlue. Similar to the way that Drew showed you, if you're a little bit, as long as you're a little bit brave, you can scoot past this warning and you can come in here and you can just edit these colors. And so that same place, so anywhere you see this hash symbol here, that's usually a color code. And so you can customize this. That's that blue color, and then this is white, and so this is the background and the top, and this is the text color inside that. And so if you wanted to customize something like that yourself, that's all you have to do. And then what a lot of people forget that you can make the designs really interesting. And so you can do these solid color background colors, use white text, carry that through. And then if you want to make one of these really interesting buttons, nice design, and it's very popular in a lot of the more modern web design elements. You can do these inside your emails too. And so you can change your button color, your text color there, and then you can also control things like your button height, make it taller. A little bit of a drag with the, there you go, the webinar screen. So you can just drag this and make it bigger. You can change the font size to a reasonable amount. The button radius is what's going to give you those curved edges. And so you can take that to a really extreme curve. There you go, and start to see those go in. And you can also move your buttons from side to side and do some of the more simple design choices as well. And this is where you get into the fun. And so if you want to add a border to your button, you can just change the width, make it a really thick border, really thin border, and then you can change your color. And so it's really up to you how creative you want to get with these designs. So with that, does anybody have any questions? We'd love to help answer any questions that you guys have. I'm going to go ahead and just suggest if you guys want to pop any questions that you have into the chat, we'll give it just a minute, or we'd love any feedback that you have about the webinar. And Drew, any final closing thoughts?
No, I think we covered both parts really well. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, also, we would love to have your feedback on the format of the webinar. Would you like us to just educate you? Would you like to have a live review of what you have done and get some expert advice on it? Or would you like to tackle on a specific complex task such as mobile responsiveness or making the form data pass from one page to another? What would you like to learn next? We would love to hear that, and create the next webinar around that.
Cool. Well, I think that we have had a good turnout today. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you, Drew, for joining us. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.